Good morning, friends. I'm on my morning walk once again. I don't know how well this is going to work, but I'm going to try. Willi, komm her, du schaffst das. Super, let's go. So this morning at 5 a.m. I got up at 4:40 a.m. to join a fieldwork practice session. So I have finished my 8 works of fieldwork. My group has finished 2 weeks ago, and in case you are new here or haven't heard me talk about fieldwork before, I'll make sure, or I think come here, let's go. I always have fieldwork linked in my description, but you can check that out. Na komm, du schaffst das, Mäusi, let's go. Super. I'm not gonna get into what fieldwork is right now, because because I just want to briefly talk about something. We had a practice session this morning, and some of the things that Leah talked about made me remember, or brought up again. I mean, I don't know. I never forgot it, but it made me think again of of something that they shared. It was, I'm gonna get this wrong again, but basically, so one of the things that we do in fieldwork, or that we are taught, and the tools that we're given, is kind of formulating our acknowledgements, meaning land acknowledgements, or acknowledging where we are, who and stuff, and where we come from, and kind of an extended land acknowledgement, I guess. I don't know. These are not Leah's words. These are my words. The extended thing. Anyway, so something that Leah shared at some point during the chapters was something someone else had said. I think it was Leah mentioned who it was, or the exact context, but basically an indigenous person said that, kind of addressing the non-indigenous and white people doing this work, that in their acknowledgements, the way that they engage with indigeneity, or with the land, or I guess with indigeneity and indigenous peoples, that they'd rather their envy than their pity, and to maybe extrapolate a little bit on that. What was meant was that a lot of the time when white people, non-indigenous people with colonizer histories engage with indigenous liberation, or with the reality of this, with this colonial reality, and with the reality of the ongoing annihilation of indigenous peoples, that a lot of the time when, or even with their own ancestry, when white people or non-indigenous people just grapple with, the history of colonialism and where, and indigenous annihilation and and all of that, like, and where they fit into all of that a lot of the time white people have the tendency to express, or to express their feelings, or their, or in a way that's like kind of like just talking about just talking about the horrors, just talking about or only able to see kind of, just like in a like, I don't know, I mean, I like, who am I talking to? If I'm talking to other like fellow white and non-indigenous people, then, or no, fellow white and non-indigenous people who are committed to decolonization and anti-racism and collective liberation, then I probably won't have to tell you that is probably part of your own experience, that like this, oh my god, like this like this realization of like the violence of these systems that many of us have been or had been oblivious to, and that like a lot of the time the way that kind of we then like what we then project onto indigenous peoples is pity, and that's kind of the context in which this person, who I don't personally know and I've forgotten the name of, said these words about how they would I would rather your envy than your pity. And when Leah first shared that story, I felt a sigh of relief inside of me, and also ever since then I felt something shift inside of me, because I didn't like, because that's like so I've been writing my BA thesis, or because I finished, because I was writing, or I was writing my BA thesis on decolonization and embodiment, and how that relates to liberation, and like also like just like researching and writing a lot about indigenous knowledges and strategies, and I've just been just learning a lot from various indigenous elders, leaders, storytellers, scholars. I even made a video. I posted a video on here. I think it's called something like something about whiteness and grief, or whether we need spaces for white grief, and that I made that video way before I did field work, and that's also like why field work, or part of why field work was so resonated so much with me, because I feel like it gave space to, or like and validity, even like, or reassurance to a lot of thoughts that I was having, not just in that video, but like in general, thoughts and feelings, and like one aspect, or like something that I had been noticing was that the way that I was experiencing, or like when I was engaging with with the work of in indigenous scholars and storytellers, I was feeling grief, and there was something like envy there. There was something like this, like, because it was like such a, because through learning about indigenous realities, I was being kind of, it was being made more visible to me, and I was becoming painfully aware of how, like, of the lack that whiteness is, of how whiteness is just this like vacuum, and this just like, it just like, and of that, this vacuum of, or this void. Yeah, it's this complete like void and lack of connection to my ancestry, to land, to each other. It's just like, yeah, whiteness is just this profound paradigm, system, and experience of, yeah, like lack, disconnection, void, and sacredness, that like the and like, and like the lack of, yeah, connection to how everything, to the sacredness of life and nature, and one way that came out, or was made kind of, yeah, conscious to me, was via some sort of experience of envy at or I don't know, yeah, like I'm not sure if I would have been able to name it as envy, and I'm not even necessarily sure that that's exactly, like, that is an exact kind of description for my experience or my feelings, but it was close enough. And yeah, and being able to acknowledge that feeling, like having someone basically tell me that this is okay to feel, which no indigenous person should have to, like, no, like, but I'm just, you know what, I'm just taking all of this as a gift. This is not like, none of this is like, yeah, anyway. So yeah, that felt like such a gift, because being able to acknowledge that feeling, that, like, let's call it envy, only then was I able to move past that, and to not, like, to not, I don't know, to not have that, like, unacknowledged feeling kind of hanging around and kind of poisoning my interaction and my engagement with indigenous cultures, indigeneity, indigenous liberation and and also like kind of allow me to like through like by acknowledging that feeling and making it like accessible, or for me to kind of process and metabolize that feeling. Masi, kan man da bleiben bitte? I was able to move past it and onto kind of like because I think envy is such, I think is such like such an important, like realizing that there was an aspect of envy there, and kind of being given permission to feel that, because like obviously I was like, well, that's a very shitty thing to feel, like, or I don't know if that's obvious, but like before Leah talked about that, I think I was having a hard time acknowledging it because I was so because we're in our struggles for liberation, and especially as a person. Hey Masi, da bleiben bitte. Willi, sitz. As a person navigating this world racialized as white, and like kind of holding this privilege in my body, and but as someone who definitely disagrees with the system of white supremacy and wants to deconstruct and unlearn their own whiteness, I had some feelings about those feelings, and I was having a hard time letting them be there, because there was shame on top, or there was this fear on top, that like what would that mean about me, like what would that feeling, like that, does that make me someone who da 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 da, and like, and maybe it does, but like I don't know, whatever. So I was scared, to be honest, about that feeling, and like being encouraged and given permission to acknowledge that feeling allowed me not only to be honest, like being honest with myself, and to explore that, and then move on to, okay, well, what do I know about envy, right? I know that envy is about kind of that it can be a direction, like we can, like when we envy someone, I don't know if I'm thinking of just general knowledge about envy, or whether I'm Willi, hey, da bleiben bitte, komm, or whether I'm thinking specifically about things I remember from ContraPoints' video essay on envy. But like, envy is about like it can be like a direction, like it can like when we notice that we are envious of someone, when we feel envy towards something someone has or does, that is an important information, because it like tells us about our own desire, and that in order to kind of like, or like one way of kind of moving past that, or to like not kind of staying stuck in envy, which like if you do can be a very ugly emotion, I think, or like can lead to lots of undesired outcomes in relationship, I think. The way that we move past that is by like acknowledging our own desire and like moving in that direction. So through being able to acknowledge that there was something like envy there in my experience of learning about various indigenous cultures, I've been encouraged, or it's been guiding me towards seeking out my own ancestry and seeking out kind of ways of belonging and stories. Mosi, hey, Willi. That connect me to something bigger, that feel, so I feel like, I feel like acknowledging that, or like having been given permission to acknowledge that feeling has played a very big role in, or like, has played a significant role in my personal exploration of my spirituality, and the way that I and connecting with ancestors and spirit, and just finding my own, like finding ways and kind of that like belong to me more, or like, I don't know if that makes sense, but like I don't think it would have been, I think the reason why I had a hard time acknowledging a feeling of envy was because I was scared of what it would do to my interaction and engagement with indigenous knowledges, because I didn't want to like be like the white person that like fetishizes other people's culture, and kind of then starts appropriating that culture, or feeling, or maybe like invading spaces, or just like, I don't know, relating to these heritages in a way that just isn't appropriate, maybe, or maybe even damaging, and as I'm learning in so many aspects of life, suppressing or repressing or denying my experience and my feelings is never the way to go. Like the only way out, or the only way out, or the only way onwards is through. There's no way of like kind of like, if the messiness is there, if the feeling is there, we have to go through it. There's no way around it. I did not think that I was going to talk for 24 minutes. But I feel like I was able to express what I wanted to say. And, just have so much gratitude for this community, for people doing this work, for people's grace and patience and generosity. And anyone who's and the courage of people to be honest, and also my own courage, I guess, because like, I don't know, there's something about encouragement, like you can't encourage something that's not there, right? Anyway, I'm done talking for now, and I hope that the audio of this is okay. I didn't bring my microphone on my walk. But yeah. Sending you much love, and I'll see you around. Bye.